welcome to Ashley's Treasure. I've been using the Bo Bunny's Christmas treasure collection and I found this cut apart sheet in it and it has the Santa in it that I absolutely love and I really want to find a way to use him in a card. I had this scrap piece of paper from the last card that I made and I thought that would look really good on the side. And they had all these little sayings and I loved that Happy Holidays. I thought that'd go really good with the Santa. And then I was thinking about the other ones that maybe this stamp would look good with this cut apart. And especially this one down here. I thought that would look really good with that one. So I was trying to figure out what I could do with all these different cut aparts. And possibly I got this lace that I got from a dollar store and I thought this one might look good with it because it's not white. It's like this off-white creamy color. So I'm trying to think of what all things I could use with these cut aparts to make a card out of them. And then I also thought about possibly using some foil paper that I got from Michaels. I got rose gold and I really liked this copper one. I thought it matched his face really well, but I wasn't sure if that striped paper went well with it. And I was planning on using this paper for the background. And I wasn't sure if, I just thought that that copper was too dark for it, too bold. And so I was like hawing back and forth between the copper and the rose gold. And I ended up leaning more towards the rose gold. So I set that aside. And then I also had gold and silver as a possibility, but I didn't like those colors with this paper. Because this paper collection has that old like vintage look. And then I also had this cut apart too that I thought I could possibly use. I really love that one with the bird to use for cards. And so I started off with a 5.5 by 4.25 card. That's like my favorite size cards to make. And set that aside. And I also thought about possibly using some border punches. I had those two that I thought of using. I think they're both Martha Stewart ones. And then my son was such a sweetheart and he went and got me a Coke. He's like, hey mommy, I want to make you happy. I'm like, you always make me happy. He's like, look what I got you, a Coca-Cola. It was so sweet. He's such a sweetheart. But yeah, I just started cutting all the cut aparts apart first and then see what I can do with all of them. And then I started fussy cutting. At first I was just going to cut the Santa out, but then there's these white like poinsettias on it. And so I wanted that in it. And then there's also this like design around it. And I was hawing if I should fussy cut that too, but there's a lot of detail in it. So I just kind of like, see, that's where I'm hawing over it. I just kind of like cut around it to think about it while I finished fussy cutting the Santa out. Because the Dear Santa, I didn't really see as a card, so that's why I wanted to cut all that part off, because it's not like I'm writing a letter to Santa. But yeah, I simply cut all that part out. Some people I know like really do not like fussy cutting at all. I actually don't mind. It's actually quite relaxing to me. And yes, I was crazy and I end up fussy cutting that out. I found out through time that it's a lot easier if you're doing like fussy cutting. It's easier moving the paper with your left hand than moving the scissors with your right. It comes a lot smoother, I found out. There's a little movement with my right hand with the scissors, but most of it overall is all with my left hand moving the paper. And that part I was so struggling on. It was so fine. I really wish that I had more of these sheets after I did this, because I absolutely love that Santa. I wish that I had more paper with that Santa on it, but sadly I think this paper pad, that's the only piece that had that Santa, sadly. But that's my type of Santa I always look for. And then I kind of fast forward so you didn't have to see all of it, because I'm sure that would probably bored you out. But after I fussy cut it all out, I kind of tried to see where to line everything up and everything. I wanted to have the Happy Holidays further up. I didn't want to cover all that part that I fussy cut. So I'm like trying to figure out where I can sneak it in. But I wanted it up there. I liked it more up there. So I was hemming on if I have to cut it or what, and I couldn't make up my mind, so I just cut off that extra part from the Santa and try to see what it would look like on the paper. And once I put it on there, that design paper seemed like too much and the Santa was just blending in. And so then I started thinking about the foil, and I'm not huge into a lot of foil, but I actually kind of liked it and wanted to see what it looked like. So I thought about using the border punch on it, and I actually ended up pinching myself with it. How in the world I was able to do that, I have no idea. But I thought a little bit detail on the end would look cool. And then I forgot that, because I already had it cut to the size of the card, that I forgot when you punch it, it takes like half an inch off. But that was fine because I could cover it up with a strip. But I actually thought it wasn't that bad. And then I'm like, him hawing, is that too much? Is it not enough? Where to put the happy holiday? That's why I finally got my paper pad out and to look at all the pages, see which one I liked more. This blue was actually not bad. It actually popped out really good. I thought that actually was better than I thought. I wouldn't have thought of putting blue with it. And then I thought about this one because it has a lot of the same colors, and it actually wasn't that bad. And then I had that scrap piece of the foil from doing that border punch, and I thought that would look good with it. And this green was actually quite good too. So I was thinking about that one. And then this one, there was just like too much going on. So I'm just going through all the paper. This one I thought was really good too, because that dark, it really made that part that I fussy cut out pop out. So I tore that one out and set it aside. And then I found this one, and I kind of ended up leaning more towards this one because it's still got that distressed vintage, and it has that Merry Christmas on the right. And I wanted to make sure if I cut this part out, I'd still be able to make a card out of that part. And there's also a Santa with his reindeers on the top. And so I cut all the borders off of it, and I could use those strips too for cards, for like little border strips, and cut off the part that I am going to use. And started lining everything up to see what it would look like. And I was liking this a lot more. Because then I thought it needed some distressing to help pop out. So I was hem-hawing between the stained walnut or the frayed burlap, and I was afraid the walnut would be too dark, so I went more towards the frayed burlap. It still was kind of darker than I wanted. I was kind of wish I used the old paper, just Tim Holtz Distress ink, but I am satisfied with it. And then since I did that part, of course I had to distress the letters as well, so as soon as I put it away I had to bring it right back out. You can see the huge difference. See, I did this part first, and you can see that like the difference with it. It really pops out, especially when you see it in person. So I distressed that part too. And then I end up putting it away, and I end up bringing it right back out because I had to distress the strip too, the part that looks like a candy cane. Because once I distress one thing, I have to distress all of it. And then again, I put it away, and then all that stuff was distressed, but the paper itself wasn't, so I had to do that too. So I do all four sides, and then I went back over the corners a little bit to make it a little bit further in. And then I cut a finer strip of the foil because the other one was a little bit thick. I didn't think I needed that much. It's amazing, just a little bit of foil paper goes a long way. And then I taped up the card with the ATG gun, and it kind of didn't line up right, so I hurried up and took it off and relined it, and then I varnished it to make sure it was all stuck well. And I also used my ATG gun on the back, the part that I fussy cut off the Santa, as much as I could. And then I also used my glue, my art glitter glue, to get the fine parts that I fussy cut and make sure that that sticks and not get caught and torn off. I really like the fine lines of glue that I can get from the tips of this bottle of glue. It works really well for something this delicate. Although it did come out pretty fast. There was a couple times I had to like dab it and like smooth it out. And then I just started placing it where I wanted. I made sure that I kind of had it further up, so I had enough room on the bottom right to put the Happy Holidays down. And I just kind of patted it down and made sure if there's any extra glue that oozed out, that I wiped that away. And then I flipped it over and varnished it to make sure it was all stuck well. Because then that's when I realized, oh no, I didn't put the letters down, and I wanted to make sure that they were kind of underneath the part that I fussy cut. So I'm like trying to hurry up and stick them on before the glue dries all the way, because the glue does dry pretty quickly. The first one wasn't bad, but the second piece, it was kind of already stuck, so I had to kind of like tear it back up and tuck it on there. I wasn't able to get it up under there as far as I'd like to, but it still turned out good. I'm still satisfied with it. And then it just took one stripe of the ATG gun to glue the candy cane stripe down. I also used a little bit of the glue on the ends, so I made sure that the two ends would stick as well. And then see, this is why I love the tip of that bottle, because I could just do a fine line. So I could glue that fine strip of foil paper on there. And look, just that little bit of foil paper made such a difference. And I love how this turned out. It has that old distressed vintagey look. I kind of been going through that phase right now. I absolutely love it. And it even had a little snowflake and a star on there. I love everything about this card. I'm afraid I'm gonna like hoard it or something because I love it so much. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do and help give you ideas for using cut-aparts. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And I hope all of you have a really great day. Bye!